Hi, welcome to Jenny Sherbo Performance Horses. This is part 2 of halter breaking for these yearling stud colts that were basically wild last Monday. And this Monday you could tell they have a little bit different demeanor. We ran them into an alley and ran them into a horse trailer and then roped them and pinned them up in the horse trailer and barely hung a halter on them. We let them drag the halter and lead rope for a day or two, and then I got a lead horse and came in here and got close enough to him that I could pick up the rope and dally on to that lead horse and pull these colts around a little bit. And at the end of the day, this is what we taught them, is to come to pressure, so that when we pull, they come to the pressure and we release. So we used the lead horse for a couple days, and the colt got to let me get close enough to him to pet him when I was on that horse, because you couldn't touch this colt a week ago. Literally, if you couldn't get within 6 feet of him. And the other colt that we did some of this on jumped a fence twice, getting away from us. So that's how wild they were. And this colt was the studdiest colt. He was in a pen with a bunch of stud colts, and he was head honcho. He was the boss. He ran everybody around, beat everybody up, jumped on everybody, and he would literally, when we first started getting a hold of him, he would try to jump on you. He was that rude. He was establishing his dominance. He was like, I'm the king, I'm in charge, and all I have to do is run you over, push you, jump on you, bite you, kick you, which he wasn't a bad colt. That's in his little world, he was the king, and that's the way he became king, and we were just another horse in the line. So we had to show him that he wasn't the king and that we were head honcho and he needed to be submissive. As soon as he kind of turned, my help's dropping a bag over there and it caught us both by surprise, so that's all that was. But as soon as he becomes submissive, it's like somebody flipped a switch. And even right there where he got spooked, notice the first thing that he didn't do was run me over. He had enough respect for me that even though he was scared for his life over there, with only a week's worth of handling, he did not jump in the middle of me. So that's actually pretty impressive. So he's still kind of snorting and looking at that bag, but he still has enough respect for me on a loose line to not come run me over. All he did was jump sideways, and he never crossed this line right here. And that's what we've taught him, is that you have your space and I have mine. Now he's just let down and took a big breath and relaxed right there and dropped his head. It was like he finally had let go of that over there. So what we were talking about before is giving to pressure. They didn't want us to be in their space, and they didn't realize that we had our own space. They didn't know anything about respecting us, and they had no idea about coming to the pull or giving to pressure. So we used that lead horse, and the first thing that we did was teach them to move their hip, so that if I moved to the side, their hip would release. This is the key. I wasn't worried about pulling on their head to release their hip. I would just use the lead horse and I would pull slightly, and all I'm looking for is a release here. So see right here where he's kind of hung up? I don't want to pull anymore. I don't want to pull any more than two fingers there. And that's when I release, is when the hip moves. So it's not about pulling here. It's about pushing there. Good. Now another thing that this horse has learned is that when pressure gets put on him, to have a release of pressure. The more that we work with them, the better he'll get about that. So if I need to go a little bit faster, to put a little bit more pressure on him to stop the pressure, and he just immediately, he didn't lick his lips. I'd like to see him lick his lips right there, but that just tells me that he didn't think it was that big a deal. I didn't put enough pressure on him. So notice I'm not pulling much. Energy at the hip, and I want the feet moving, but I'm not pulling. There, I gotta look at the lips. They don't understand pressure release, pressure give. That's taught into them. So I did that with that lead horse, where we taught them to lead, and soon as they give to the pressure, we release. So when we started with the lead horse, it was just a step here or there. A step here or there eventually turns into leading. And if you notice, I don't grab a hold of this colt right by the halter and stand to the side and pull on him constantly and just sit over here scared and then pull and brace it. No, okay, do not do that. That doesn't do anything for them. Give them their space. You have your space, and if I went to pull on him, and if I had trouble unlocking his feet, I would just pull sideways a little bit. And then as soon as he starts coming with me, release him. We do not want to keep pulling on him. If we keep pulling on him, he's not going to understand about the release of pressure. Release. Good boy. Good. I like how low-headed he is. I like how his ears, I call it donkey ears, where they're just nice and relaxed. So when I go at him with some energy, a little bit of pressure, and I just ask him to back up. Now I'm going to ask him to lead this way, pull, and then release. Then he can hook onto you and follow you, just like he did the lead horse. And trust me, last week he wasn't ready to follow me because he wouldn't even follow that lead horse. First of all he wanted to do was breed the lead horse. But then when we got him to quit breeding the lead horse, he still was scared. First he wanted to fight him, then he was scared of him, but following was not in his vocabulary, to where now he's not scared, he doesn't want to fight, and he will hook on and follow you. Good. You don't always have to tap them in the nose. You can tap them in the leg. I just don't have my tapper, whatever. As long as their feet are going to move in the opposite direction. Remember, last Monday, he was wild. You couldn't even hardly get in this pen with him, and dang sure that he was dangerous and had no feel. So the horse that we have today is a very different horse. And I'm not saying any of this to go, oh yeah, look what I did. I'm saying, look at how cool horses are. In 1 week, they can go from being wild to docile. I mean, that's this horse just giving up his life and saying, okay, I trust you. Okay, I'll follow you. And that's part of the reason why we love horses. I mean, it's so cool. And at the end of the day, these horses do have a brain smaller than my fist. Okay, they have a brain slightly larger than a walnut. But it doesn't mean that they're stupid. They just need a leader. They need a simple plan, and they need repetition, and they need the leader to follow the plan. As long as they understand how to play the game, and the rules are really elementary, really black and white, they'll give up their life in a week, just like this colt has. We've laid him down. I've sat on top of him. You know, he's really sweet. You couldn't touch his face at all last week, and even right here where he doesn't want you to touch his muzzle much. First of all, he has warts on his face, and they're sensitive. Secondly, it's not natural for something to be touching their face. See, the stud will come out in him a little bit. But see, all this is going to be really important when you go to bridle him. Now, we're not going to get on this colt for 6 months. But in 6 months, we're going to get on him. There. And I'm going to need to put a bridle on him. See how he licked his lips when I released the pressure? And I made him let my hand stay there. I got off to the side of him, so I'm not standing in front of him. And then when he accepts my hand, then I release him. There, and he licks his lips. Now I'm just going to go back to him. I start up high where he is comfortable. Work my way down to where he's not comfortable. There, and you can't see this, but I'm sticking my thumb in the side of his mouth. That's why he's opening his mouth. Because that's what I'm going to need to do when I bridle him, or worm him, or get his teeth done, which is going to happen next week. Okay. Then when he slows down a little bit, his buddy's out there hollering for him. There. Then I can release him. Then I'll come over on this side and do the same thing. Yeah, you're okay. Just go to stick my hand down there. Stick my thumb in his mouth. He says, what? Wait for him to settle. When he shoves back at me, I shove back at him. There. Good boy. This is all stuff that takes a little bit of time, but I'd rather do it now so that when I bring him in the winter, I can just walk right up to him and this is going to be easy. Little refresher course. Boom, bridle him up, get on. It's not going to be that harsh of a deal for him because he's going to be pretty used to it. Now if he starts sticking his head up high, then we'll have to put his feet to work a little bit and want him to be down low with us. There. And there's a certain amount of submission to all of this. It's like he doesn't like this and he's still a stud, so the stud comes out a little bit like, I don't want you to do that. And I'm kind of almost thinking about not letting you do it, and or if you do, I might just rear up and strike at you or something. See right here, he needs his feet moving. He needs a reminder that he's not the boss. So move his feet, we'll move his feet, we'll move his feet, move his feet, release the pressure. And when we do release the pressure, we'll go back to rub his head. There, start to release him down, run my hand over, there. Basically just trying to show him that it's not so bad. There, much better. This still isn't bad at all, considering I couldn't touch him at all last week. He has more warts on this side, so he's a little bit more worried about this side of his nose. There. You're okay? There. I don't know. Hey. Hey. There you go. There you go. One thing I won't let him do is completely turn and face me. There. Good boy. There. There. That's better. Another really easy way of doing this is to start to feed them grain. These colts won't eat grain yet. They just don't know what it is. But if you start hand feeding him some grain, he's a stud, so you got to be careful not to do it too much. But it'll really start to let him know that, yeah, that's a good boy, big lick right there. That when I touch your face, it's actually a good thing. There, that was a lot better that time. There. I see right there, he's just letting my hand be there. There. Much better. So he just had to figure out that I wasn't going to kill him. That it wasn't terrible. Like I said, he's got some scratches on his face. He's got some warts on his face. They're not used to anybody touching their face. So, and he started to get on the muscle again, the stud. There. That was a lot better. I know. There. You're not so bad. You're not so bad. You're okay. So a little bit more of that, and he'll be ready for the dentist next week.